Podcast for all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time. I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, to address whatever topics you might like to discuss, whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. You may call or text now on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. You can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families, dating and relationship. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And as always, our daily Divine Direction broadcast is brought to you by Fiji Water. You may already know that Fiji Water is Earth's finest water, and it comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock. The water collects in a natural artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is Earth's finest water. And so I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers who continue giving on the Give segment of our app, and those of you who have made a monthly commitment at New Life Delaware through our app to support the broadcast, we thank you for your support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here to address whatever topics you might like to discuss and whatever issues of life you find challenging or difficult to navigate. And so we're going to begin today by addressing a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are really finding it difficult to focus on your plan for the coming year when you want to know what do you do when not knowing what to expect. So let me begin by saying this. You have to plan, and you have to have faith, and then you have to implement your plan. So, we always use the analogy, you plan your work and you work your plan. However, we also have to recognize that in the midst of that, we have to place God, and we have to trust God. We have to have faith in what God is doing in our lives. So you have to plan regardless to not knowing what to expect, and trust that God has an expectation for you that is going to take you to the place that you desire to go and that God has purposed for your life. So you have to believe and have faith that whatever comes in the new year, it's going to be well with your soul. You have to believe that because God has begun this work in you, He will complete it. And you have to believe that when you plan and work your plan, that God will manifest your plan to the fullness of God in your life. Now, here's what I always like to remind everyone. God gives to every man, woman, and child according to their measure of faith. But then you have to put your faith in action. And the only way that you can effectively put your faith in action is by having a plan to implement. So we develop the plan, we write the vision, we make it plain. We have a clear vision of what we want to accomplish. And I'm just going to stretch a little further today by sharing with you that when you develop your plan, develop a plan based on the things that you desire to accomplish in your life. And don't limit your plan to what you think you're capable of accomplishing. Write out your plan beyond your experience, beyond what you know you're capable of. And then you will find that as each year goes by, you will check off some of the things on your plan. So you have to think about it in these terms, and There are 365 days in a year. So here's what I'm going to ask you and everyone else to do, because I want to help our listeners and viewers wherever they are across the U.S. and wherever they are around the globe. So there are 365 days in next year. I'm going to ask you to write out 365 things that you want to accomplish in your life. And don't limit yourself. Don't limit your desires based on what you know you can accomplish. And I'm going to ask you to write them out completely, 365 of them. One item for each day. And then I'm going to ask that at the end of next year, you look at that list and that you will find that if you are praying over your list every day, you're reading over your list every day, you're reading over your vision, your plan every day, keeping it in the front of your mind, working that plan every single day, getting up every day and giving 100% of the time to accomplish the goals. If you do that, you're going to find that God is going to give you a tithe. He's going to tithe to you 10% of everything that you've written down. 36 of those things that you put on your list, God will give you back because you're believing at another level now. And think about this. If that happens every year and you walk into the fullness of God, you walk in the fullness of God knowing that He will fulfill His promise to you. Because every day means something to God. So 365 things on your list. The end of next year, you will see that 36 of them have been completed. The end of the following year, you're going to see another 36 of them will be completed. Now, I know you might be saying, but Pastor, it would take me 10 years for God to complete my list, for my list to be completed. But 10 years of your life for you to walk into the fullness of God is a blessing. Not denied, just delayed. You can't handle any more than that at a time. Listen, God asks all of us to tithe 10% of whatever He gives to us back to Him. So, time, I've talked about that in a Sunday sermon, I'm sure. I read God's Word for 3 hours every day. I give a tithe of my day back to God. We give a tithe of our resources to God. And I say that to say, now, in order for us to get the fullness of God, God will tithe back to us. Write 365 things that you desire to accomplish and expect them to come to pass. You've got to know, I'm taking you someplace that you've never been before. I'm letting you into the secret of success. You've got to have a plan. You've got to work that plan every day, but you have to have faith in the midst of it to believe that God will accomplish everything that He desires to accomplish in you. And if you do that, you're going to experience God at another level like you've never expected. And I'll expect to hear from you at December of next year so that you can share with me what God has done in your life during the course of the year. I'm going to encourage everyone to do this. I'm going to really open up the scripture for everyone to tap into this so that we can prove God. But we have to do our part. We have to do everything that God has assigned for us to do. And if we don't, then we can't expect to receive from God what we desire. The scripture says, delight yourself in the Lord and He'll give you the desires of your heart. So don't limit your desires. Plan your desires. And if it's according to God's will, he will bring it to pass. 365 items. And at the end of next year, you will see that 36 of them will be completed. Because you have put your faith in the midst of your plan and your work, your plan and your implementation. You will experience God at a whole nother level. We are trying to get to the fullness of God. You know, I said on Sunday to our congregation and to everyone who was tuned in, I said, you know, we are climbing the stairway to heaven every day of our lives. Every day that we live, we're climbing another stairway to heaven. Some people get stuck on stairs, but we're not going to do that. We're going to keep climbing, keep going to the next level in God, in our lives. And God will allow us to experience the fullness of him if we do everything that God has chosen for us to do and appointed for us to complete. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line. We will move you over into our queue. You can call 267-992-1424. We will move you over to experience T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest nationwide 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are not feeling the holidays. This was your term. You're not feeling the holidays with your family. And the reason is because you say they're loud, they're obnoxious, and I've heard this before. And you are more conservative and reserved. You want to, but your concern is that your parents are expecting you. Okay. So here's the good news. You know, we always use the adage that you don't get to choose your family, you do get to choose your friends. However, your parents are expecting you to be present for the holidays. You all have been, most of you have been apart throughout the year, and understandably so. So we've been in the midst of a pandemic. We're all trying to stay safe and well. That's a great thing. Your parents are expecting you. Mask up. If you're like me, you'll put on some gloves. You will go and visit your family. The good news is you get to decide how long you stay. So listen, it's one thing when people get a little loud because sometimes people have been, you know, spending their lives among family members who talk loud, and everyone's trying to talk over everyone to get their point across or to even be heard in some cases. But the truth of the matter is that it's one thing when they get loud. You can tolerate that as long as you can. When people start becoming obnoxious, it's time to move on. So at that point, you can decide to get up and excuse yourself, tell your parents you love them, and go home. That's the great thing about having choices. That's the great thing about having options, is that you get to decide how long you want to stay and how and when you need to depart. I encourage you to do just that. You know, don't feel that you have to stay there any longer than you are comfortable. Don't feel that it's necessary for you to remain there once you have had dinner and once you've visited with your parents, you've seen some of the other family members. It's all good, to God be the glory. But don't eliminate going, particularly in the season that we're in right now. If you can be with your parents, that's a good thing, because, you know, we have seen a lot of people depart this year, transition this year, leave this life because of COVID. I get it. And then the truth be told, none of us know the day nor the hour that we're going to depart. So we just have to, maybe inconvenience ourselves a little bit to accommodate our parents and spend the holidays with them. And when your family gets a little bit out of control, or they get to a point where you don't feel like dealing with it any longer, then enough is enough. But don't not go just because, or do not attend because you just don't want to put up with them being loud and obnoxious. They've been loud and obnoxious all your life, so you know what you're dealing with. Endure for a moment, but joy will fill your life just by spending some additional time with your parents and your family. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, you can stop in at their retail stores. They have everything that a man could possibly need. They have shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. I'm in a Charles Tyrwhitt shirt and tie combination today. And if you order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com right now, you can receive 3 high-quality cotton shirts for $99. They are offering a sale right now. And if you order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com, they will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And The White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything that you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. And before I do that, I just want to remind all of our listeners and viewers. So last week, our monthly contributor, Rebecca Buva, licensed and registered dietitian and nutritionist, was with us on the broadcast, as she is every first Thursday of the month. You don't want to miss that, every first Thursday of the month. But we know the holidays are coming, and of course, we always want everyone to be healthy in body, mind, and spirit. So I'm going to encourage everyone, go to her website where you can find information on diet, nutrition. You can find information on health and wellness on her website at Becca the dietitian, Becca, Becca, the dietitian. And you will be able to find information that will help us to remain healthy and well, both body, mind, and spirit. One of our listeners and viewers sent in a communication that indicated you feel as though you are not progressing at the rate you should be progressing professionally. You want to know, what can you do to change that aspect of your life? And so I'm going to begin by saying this. You've got to eliminate the fear of failure, first of all. So I'm saying that to you because God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life. There are some people who, the reason they are not progressing at the rate, the path that they would like to accomplish, I should say, at the period that they want to accomplish certain things professionally, because they're not putting in the work or the effort. You're putting in the work and effort now, but you have a fear of failure. So you limit your success by just doing enough to complete what you need to complete professionally and not extending yourself beyond that point. Now, the reason you do that is because you are afraid that you're going to fail stepping out of your comfort zone. So you're not going to, at this point, you have not been working beyond what you're capable of working. You do just what is required of you to get to the place that you succeed where you are right now. And the reason you're not progressing at the rate you think that you can progress is because you know that there's more in you. You know, I've often said this over the years that there are people who fear success because they understand that it will require them to work twice as hard to maintain the success they accomplish. And that requires us to work outside of our comfort zone. You're more comfortable staying in the zone that you're in instead of stepping out on faith and working beyond what you know is your expertise. Listen, we all have a bailiwick. We all have a expertise in our lives. We all are capable of doing certain things effectively and efficiently and really being successful at what we do. We all have that ability. However, it's when you step outside of your comfort zone that you then maximize your abilities and your successes. Because sometimes we have some abilities to do things that we don't think we can do. We think we may mess up, we may fail. The worst case scenario is, and particularly professionally, there's only so much damage you can do. And here's the thing. If you don't cost the company money and you are productive, you're going to be able to maintain your position. But we have to keep working at it. But there are some things that we don't have an expertise at. So I will say this. There are certain things that we don't have expertise in doing, but if we try to do them, we might succeed. And as long as it doesn't destroy anything, and I have something specific in mind that I'm thinking, but as long as it doesn't destroy anything, then it's okay to try. Even if it doesn't come out right, you can always correct it. So the reason I'm saying that is because I will not ever try anything that is in my home that is electrical or plumbing. And the reason is because electricity will cause fire, plumbing will cause flood. So I'm never going to try and do those things. They have plumbers and electricians for that. They have that expertise. I don't have that expertise. However, if I'm working from my home and the internet goes out, there are things that I can do to try to get my internet back up. There are things I can do to reset the system before I have to call my provider. But if I might not be comfortable doing it because I'm a technology immigrant, not a technology citizen. But I'm willing to try. Once upon a time, I wasn't even willing to do that. I would call the Geek Squad. I would call, a tech from my provider. And the reason is because I thought I was going to destroy my laptop or I was going to destroy my system. So I really wasn't interested in trying that. And then because I have in my congregation a couple of people who are technology experts, they would say, well, Pastor tried this. So I would try that. And then they'd say, well, try this if that doesn't work. And then I'd try that. Maybe you need to do this instead. And I tried that. And then if we couldn't figure out what was going on, which in most cases they could, then I would have to call the provider. So I learned the things that they taught me to do. And I don't have to call them anymore to do it. I can still do them. And then I can call my provider, who have the expert technicians on their equipment and their broadband, internet. I'm not afraid to fail at that now. You can't be afraid to fail working outside of your expertise. That's your problem when it comes to progressing professionally, is that you are focused on doing only what you are comfortable doing and not stepping outside of that. That happens to many of us. What I'm going to encourage you to do today is that every day I'm going to encourage you to take 1 additional hour per day and work on something outside of your comfort zone in your profession. I really want to encourage you to do 2 hours. If you don't have the opportunity to get in 2 hours because you're working on something, then that's fine if you can only get in an hour. But I'm going to encourage you, 2 hours. You know, I always say there's a 10-hour business day. But 2 hours at the end of your business day, or 1 hour before and 1 hour after, work on something that's not just what you're required to do. Expand your knowledge, increase your professional development, email your boss and ask, is there, you know that you're working on a project, is there something you can do on that project for the opportunity to increase your professional development? If you have that kind of boss, if you got a boss that you're not comfortable with, then do it on your own. And you can do that on your own by pulling, and I've said this before previously also, pull the job description of someone else, maybe your boss. That's the first one I recommend. If not, maybe the person that you're on direct line with. Pull their job description and do something on their job description that will enhance your professional development. That will then encourage you and inspire you to work outside of your comfort zone. There are things that every one of us can do to improve our professional skills. Professional development is significantly important. We have to be willing to develop ourselves continuously. There are things we can do that will allow us to become a better version of ourselves. Not just personally, but professionally. But we have to be willing to do that, and we can't be afraid of failure. So let's make sure that you eliminate the fear of failure. And you can do that by expanding your professional development, which will give you some additional skills that will allow you to function outside of your comfort zone. I want to say this to all of our listeners and viewers, because I'm glad that we were able to address this particular communication also today, because so many people are afraid of failure. You don't fail, first of all, you have to understand you don't fail until you stop trying. There are times in our lives when we come to a point where we realize that we are not capable of doing something. Everyone's not a neurosurgeon, but they may have gone to medical school and becoming an MD. And what I'm saying is, there are things that we can do that are within our comfort zone. But there are also things outside of our comfort zone that we can pursue to become an even better version of ourselves that we can possibly become. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast is brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. I look forward to being in your viewing environment